Hello everyone, it is I, Ryan, also known as thelovebat, and so I welcome you back again to my Let's Playing domain, this time continuing along in Pathfinder Kingmaker, which I haven't played in a little while, and I haven't, been doing this for a hot minute or two, but I'm going to get back into it, and well, it has been a while since I've, continued along in this game. I have been playing some other couples of games and doing things in real life, Dungeons and Dragons kinds of sessions now and then. But yeah, I just want to go and get back into playing a bit more of this and continuing along because it is, from what I can understand from my first time ever having played through this, it's going to be a very lengthy game. So I want to be able to go ahead and try and make some more progress on it, because I know that being able to go ahead and complete this game, especially going through all the NPC dialogues and everything like that the way that I do, it'll be a long journey. So I figure, you know what, instead of postponing the journey or procrastinating with the journey, I figured that instead of the usual procrastination, I figured I'll just go ahead and try and do something. So last time we left off, I think that we got some new companions with Octavia and Reginar. I think it might have been 2 sessions ago, maybe. In the last session, we ended up playing with them a little bit, and we did a bit of exploring in the world map. And a lot of it was spent coming back here to Oleg's trading post, and then eventually we talked to Jaethel, one of our party members and such. But yeah, Jaethel's an evil party member. She's an undead and everything, so yeah, it's not surprising that she doesn't really mesh well, I guess, with the rest of the party or with my character in general, Alyrra, who is a lawful good paladin who's got a good aligned moral compass, and we told her as much. And yeah, so basically, during the conversation with Jaethel, it basically told them that, you know what, it's one thing to live your life the way that you want, but on the other hand, if you're living only for yourself and you're really selfish, I mean, what can you really expect out of your life, especially with what happened to Jaethel herself when it came to, how should we say, losing her original life, and now she is stuck with, honestly, no life, I guess, because even though she's undead, she doesn't really have much of a life other than the fruitless, I guess, prayers that she has to her sort of goddess of death, whatever you want to call it. Not really goddess of death, but more just like a self-serving sort of goddess in terms of beliefs and faith and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, usual evil-aligned god type stuff. Not really surprising for anyone who follows fantasy stories of evil characters that worship evil beings or some evil dark lord of terror, villainy, and everything like that. But nonetheless, it was a conversation that we had, and we are also very exhausted and everything from all the traveling to get back here. So eventually we're going to rest. But before resting, we're going to talk with some of the other NPCs, and then we're going to go ahead and hit the hay and recover our energy quite a bit. So Tristan is a cleric that we ended up saving, I think, over at the Elk Temple, Temple of the Elk, I think it was. We met him over there, from what I remember anyway. And we kind of rescued him from all the wild animals that were kind of attacking him and such, but he was able to thwart them off long enough to save, or to prevent them from killing him before we got there. So we'll talk about him. Don't worry about me. Jod says I'll be fine soon. Okay, well, I guess we can't talk to him anymore for now. One other thing real quick that I want to go ahead and mention here is that I was able to go ahead and after getting my computer fixed and getting the hard drive upgraded to an SSD, which is a solid state drive from a usual HDD, which is just a standard hard drive, I was able to go ahead and put the texture quality up a little bit, because not only does my hard drive or the solid state drive not run as hot with all the moving fall apart and stuff as the old hard drive did. But it seems to also run faster. The loading times are much better. So I think I should be able to go ahead and play with actual proper texture graphics now. So when it comes to different menus and stuff, the character portrait should at least look like it's actually presentable now. Which will be great, because the last few episodes when I had to scale it down a bit due to the performance issues, the portrait looked like crap, being a custom portrait, and the way that the game renders the textures and the portrait quality for custom portraits. But yeah, so that's going to thankfully look a lot better now. It's not going to look like an eyesore every time that you look down there at the portrait, now that my computer's actually fixed and working properly. So we'll see what hopefully there's not going to be any issues there going forward for the technical issues. So let's talk to Octavia here, who we met not too long ago, and see what she's up to. Oh, hello! Octavia gives you a fetching smile. Something you need? And so Octavia here is the more jovial type one, and then Reganar, I guess that's just what I'll call him from now on. Reganar is basically a more aggressive, has anger management issues kind of character, who I guess is, the companions of Octavia. He wouldn't ever hurt her, but those who wrong him will feel his wrath surely, and he has the might to back it up. But yeah, so they're kind of a yin and yang kind of companionship, it seems like. Octavia kind of calms him down if he's kind of losing his temper and that kind of thing. Not going to get too heavy into that for now, but that's kind of the initial impression that we got. Could you tell me about your childhood, please? I guess it's kind of an odd question to ask her right straight away, but it's at the top of the list, so I just figured I'd click it. Octavia sighs. Too little. Some scraps of memories? No more than that. Well, what exactly do you remember then? Octavia reflects on that, tapping her finger against her cheek. Nothing special. Some images of a faraway past, that's all. I do remember wooden table legs. The paint on them was peeling off, and I was standing on my toes, trying to peek at what was on the table. I remember the wild rose by the window. It kept me up at night, scratching the glass of its gnarled branchlets. I do remember my mother's blue dress. It was a trifle battered, but it smelled of lavender. Octavia wrinkles her forehead. I guess that's all. Not much there, right? All those memories. It's like they're not mine at all. I recall some images, and I know I should feel something about them, but I don't remember what exactly I should feel. So let them rot in a swamp with tatzelworms. Octavia grins cheerfully. My life's good enough without them. Or my life's good enough without them. Well, I guess whatever memories that she had were not happy memories, and she just wants to lock them away to not have to deal with them anymore. What do you know about your parents? You're a half-elf, right? Am I? Octavia examines herself, as if seeing herself for the first time. You know, I think you might be right. I'm rather slim and tall, and I can see well in dim light. She raises her hands and touches her ears. Aha! They're a bit pointy. Yes, I'm definitely a half-elf. Let's think about that logically. So my mother was an elf, and my father was a human, or maybe it was the other way around, and my mother was a... Finally, Octavia can't take it anymore and bursts into laughter, spoiled by her own act. I'm not very good at imitating laughter, but you get the point. But anyway. So that's it. Now you know as much about my parents as I do, she says after her laughter subsides. So I guess, that's interesting because she remembers her mother's dress and everything, so she must remember something about her mother or something or other. But yeah, she probably remembers who was who, and she just doesn't want to get into it. If she remembers anything about her mother and things that she wore, then she probably knows who had the pointy ears of the two of them, but that's just me. Do you remember how you were enslaved? I clearly remember the man who took me away from my home. He was big, with a huge potbelly and shaggy beard. I was afraid he would eat me. Octavia shrugs. Anyway, he didn't stay with me long. He gave me to his slaver accomplices, and I never saw him again. When my mother was giving me to him, she was crying. I can still barely hear her quiet voice, but I can't recall her words or her face behind the tears. Just that lavender smell. It tickled my nose and I wanted to sneeze. So there's the lavender again. I guess it was the garb that her mom liked to wear. It always smelled of lavender. Maybe she wore like some kind of perfume, or maybe it was kind of an enchantment that she had on her dress to make it smell of lavender. Who knows? But interesting nonetheless. Did my mother sell me into slavery? But then why was she crying? And if she didn't want me to be a slave, and why didn't she try to save me? Octavia twirls her hair, pondering over the thought, then sighs. Well, one more riddle from my past that I don't care to solve. Well, it is interesting. It is interesting that she doesn't really want to delve into it a whole lot, because she probably... I mean, everyone would have a hunch. She's, asking herself questions here, presenting questions like, whose line is it anyway? It's a rhetorical question, or sometimes it's just, I don't know, maybe she does have questions, but she probably has to theorize about what went down, recalling it, about it. Because, yeah, I don't know, that's just me, though. Chances are, at least what Alyrra would be thinking is that, well, her mother physically probably couldn't do anything to stop it, and maybe there was just some kind of, not really deal, but more like coercion going on there, and she didn't want to do it. But if she didn't want either of them to die, then, like, what choice did her mother have? Or not really sure what the father was up to at that point in time. Maybe they killed him as a way to make the enslaving them easier. I don't know, but interesting anyway. It must be horrible being unable to recall your childhood. Oh, I recall my childhood in rather bright details. It was spent in dirty barracks. I wore flea-infested rags and slept on a straw mattress instead of a proper bed. Octavia smiles humorously, blank smile. So I understand what you mean. To be honest, I'm not sure I want to remember my childhood before slavery. If I could remember what I lost, it would probably just bring me more pain. Octavia shakes her head several times and makes herself smile again. So it's good that I don't remember much of anything. That's why I guess this was kind of talking about earlier, out of character here, that she probably wants to lock away the memories that she did have, or she doesn't want to talk about it because it's too painful to think about what could have been, with her childhood or her parents and her family, and not knowing what happened to them, or if she might ever be able to find them again, that kind of thing. So instead of dwelling on, all the good times that she had, she just wants to do away with the trauma as much as she can and try and, shake off any of the memories that would remind her of what happened. So just ways of trying to deal with the pain, essentially, and the pain of loss. Because if you love someone and then you lose them, then it's going to be a lot more painful than losing someone that you didn't really care much about, right? So I like to think of it like, in a movie scene or something like that, where, someone that's really close to you dies and it affects you really deeply for the rest, character-wise anyway, for the rest of the movie. So it affects the character quite a bit because someone that they truly cared about died, and it wasn't just like a throwaway character that died. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling here, is that it's easier not to think about it, being important, or as good times that she lost. So well, I want to ask you about something else, Octavia. Let's not dwell too much on that past. Of course. What do you want to talk about? What kind of relationship do you have with Reganar? Octavia shrugs awkwardly. We're together, she answers simply. Okay, let's brief. The way you said we're together sounded unconvincing. Is something wrong? You've noticed? Well, I didn't mean that. Now I'll have to explain. Octavia shakes her head. I'm not sure I know how to put it correctly. You see, Reg seems to treat me like his property. Well, I noticed. Oops. I skipped through a dialogue there. He's always kind to me, and it feels good when we travel together, or when we share a blanket at the campsite. But he always calls me my Octavia. I've told him over and over that I don't belong to anyone, that I'm my own, that I stay with him by my own free will. He only grins when I say that. I bet he likes to think that I'm his. Never mind, though. I'll sort it out somehow. Octavia shakes her head, making the troubling thoughts go away. That's interesting, I guess. I mean, it's not really something that's unusual amongst romantic couples, like, my wife, that kind of thing, or my husband, or the love of my life, or, that's a pretty common thing, at least for people that love each other, romantically and that kind of thing. Maybe the way that Reganar, with his anger issues and maybe possessiveness, maybe comes off the wrong way than when he does it. But yeah, it's not an unusual thing to hear couples talk about. In other ways, it would definitely sound like very possessive and controlling, so I definitely get that. When did you meet Reg? Years ago, when I was studying magic at Maestro Janush's When I was studying magic at Maestro Janush's, Reg was his student too, though you couldn't actually say he was really studying anything. Reg had his own ways to cast spells. He never needed the Maestro's instructions. You see, unlike wizards, Reg draws power directly from his innate bloodline abilities. Janusz didn't realize the nature of Reg's powers when he took the young boy as his new student. And when he finally understood them, he just taught the negligent half-orc to control his powers, to avoid harming himself or the others. Reg and I have been together ever since. We could both use magic, but more importantly, we both craved freedom. We used to vow to each other that someday we'd break free from the unbearable captivity, or die trying, together. Octavia gives you a warm smile. I guess it's good that we fulfilled only the first part of that vow. Yep, I guess it makes sense that the first part of the vow was definitely the better of the two fates, you could say. You owe him much? Octavia winces. I don't like this "owe" word. I don't owe anything to anybody. Everything I do of my own free will. But to answer your question, Yes, Reg has done a lot for me. Well, I guess... Call me crazy, but I think that she doesn't like... I doubt that she would like the idea of a contract. I think that employment would probably be hard for someone like Octavia that has to adhere to responsibilities and she can't just do whatever she wants to do all the time. I don't know. Friendships are just give and take too. So it's like, if anyone's ever watched the Star Wars movies, you'll know what I mean. But, you know, it's like, I owe you one. It's like you help out someone and it's like someone does a favor for you, you know, that kind of thing. But, yeah, she doesn't really like the idea of feeling like she has to pay back like a favor or something like that, or gentleman's agreement kind of thing, maybe. I don't know. I can't count how many times he was whipped by masters because of me, how many times he took the blame for my doings. He never complained when they dragged him, beaten, covered in blood, to the slave barracks. He just groaned and clenched his fists while I bandaged his wounds with the scraps of my filthy clothing. We've always been together, my whole life, as slaves and as free people. I wouldn't be me if not for him. The fact that Reg is so impulsive doesn't bother you? Ah, that. That is a very delicate matter. Octavia winces, looking away. Reg means a lot to me, and he endured a lot from me, but some parts of him just scare me. He becomes extremely bloodthirsty when it comes to slavers. Don't get me wrong, I hate slavers with all my heart, and I'll do a lot to cleanse the world of their filth. But Reg, he'd do anything. Understand? Absolutely anything. I'm afraid that anger might kill everything good in him. I've attempted to talk to him about it many times, but he just won't listen. He becomes even angrier after our conversations. Octavia sighs sadly. Well, let's change the subject again. This is, she cares about him, but, yeah, the impulsiveness, possessiveness, the anger issues. Yeah, very flawed person. So, Ragnar, anyway. Will you tell me about your life in slavery? I don't like to recall it, but if you insist. Octavia frowns. The slavers from the Technic League tried to ruin my life, but all they could do was ruin my childhood. How did you happen to find yourself in the Stolen Lands? My enslavers from the Technic League funded a large expedition into the Stolen Lands. 100 agents, tens of slaves, wagons. We were to search for some ancient artifacts or ancient ruins. Octavia shrugs. Our group never made it to the Technic League hideout. Along the way, it was attacked by the future owner of the Stolen Lands herself, and I'll be forever grateful to her for it. Octavia winks cheerfully. And now I'm going to catch my bearings here and get a quick sip of water here. Alrighty then. Well then, so did you have many masters over the years? Yes, many of them. Some owned me for years. Others felt they'd had enough of me in a couple of months. Trust me, I did all I could to make every master eager to get rid of me. A slave that's trained in magic is a rather expensive thing, so they wouldn't kill me. At least that was the hope. So I drooled and played an idiot, and I listened as every new master argued with my former one, trying to return me. Sometimes I punctured the pages of magic books I was forced to copy with a quill. Other times I pretended to mix up the spells, so instead of lighting a magic torch, I set dozens of dancing lights floating just below the ceiling. Of course, most of these tricks of mine usually ended badly, and I got punished on a regular basis, and my back still remembers the master's whips, though all of my scars from those times are long gone. Another sip of water here for myself. Well, where did you learn to use magic? Well, I guess we kind of covered this a little bit already, but I guess we'll ask her anyway. Oh, I was taught magic by Janusz of Starfall, one of the most famous wizards in Numeria. Maestro Janusz, as he insisted on calling himself. Octavia's voice overflows with contemptuous sarcasm. Anyone would be happy to learn from such a great master, and only a talentless bitch like me would dare to reject his teachings and indulge in her laziness. So I guess as you can see up there, Starfall is a city as brutal and as harsh as the unforgiving Numerian land that it is the capital of. Well, let's see then. By the filthy reek of human misery. Well, that's... Yep, that does not look like a good place to live. Definitely not where you would want to move your family to. So yeah, she learned from Master Janusz, I guess, or Maestro Janusz, technically. But yeah, I guess she learned magic and such, but she didn't really pursue it as hard as other people might have because the motivation, for obvious reasons, not there. Well, at least that's what Maestro Janusz used to repeat constantly while whipping knowledge into my back. The great Maestro was a big fan of punishment. Octavia's lips pressed into a thin line. The Technic League didn't care if a few slaves died under the Master's whip, as long as Maestro Janusz provided an arcane trained one in return. Well, I guess, she doesn't think that she has much talent, but, I think it's maybe some thinly veiled sarcasm and self-depreciating humor, because she wasn't motivated to learn from a very, very bad man, so... Officially, there's no slavery in Numeria, but the Technic League is above any law. A slave with an aptitude for the arcane is worth much more than a regular one. The slave's repertoire is limited to the simplest and safest spells, of course. Yeah, you wouldn't want to teach a slave how to cast a fireball, I bet, because otherwise, well... there would be fireballs everywhere, and they would be making their hopeful escapes, so... Have you ever tried to run away? Well, that's the kind of question I was about to ask myself. What a silly question. Of course I tried. As soon as we saw even the tiniest opportunity to get free, Reg and I grabbed for it. On one occasion, we jumped from the cart into the river. There was a time when we spent weeks trying to dismantle the far wall of the barracks and make a path out. Sometimes we attacked our guards when they least expected it. We craved freedom. We lived only to dream about it. Those short days, sometimes weeks, that we spent on the run were the happiest days of my life. We used to hide in the woods, or blend in with the crowd on the streets of Starfall. Midnight stars were our guiding lights, and we shared our dream with them, to reach the river kingdoms. For in these lands there were neither slaves nor masters. We were starving and freezing, but that was the real life. Too bad it usually ended too soon. The Technic League agents always found us in the end. I don't know how they managed to do it. They probably used magic, or maybe it was just our fate. They whipped us and returned us to our old masters, or sold us to new ones, if the old ones refused to pay. So we were slaves again, but the dream about the River Kingdoms never left our hearts. Yep, so they both endured a lot of punishment, and I guess it's... I don't know, the game has kind of the tone where it's more of an uncensored kind of RPG. I'm glad that the developers, they didn't self-censor it to try and avoid certain subjects or conversation topics and things like that. You know, we've had, of all the things we've had people talk about, we've had slavery, getting whipped for trying to escape from slavery or being a bad slave or servant or whatever. Then you've had people like, you know, we've had bloody murder, we've had all kinds of, you know, we've had things like implied genocide, I think, in some cases. I can't quite remember, but certainly there's been some descriptions of some of the kingdoms and, you know, rulerships, I guess, that have done some bad stuff. And we've had all kinds of desecrated temples. We've had mentions of things like orgies and things like that. Even orgies, for crying out loud, from the Bard. So, from the Bard Lindsay in the group mentioned stuff like that back when, in her backstory, in her dialogue. And then we have, you know, lots of evil people out here that are trying to murder people and doing all kinds of things like that. And then we have the Stag Lord, who went through lots of childhood trauma and abuse from his father, and then became evil to get even with him and everyone around him. So, like, we have a bunch of really deep stuff here that's going on, and it's not just a big bad evil guy looking to rule the world like Dr. Evil or something like that. So we got lots of interesting and sort of deep topics in this kind of game, compared to other RPGs that don't always do that. Yeah, there's lots of trauma-related type events that are present in this game, or themes at the very least. Have your masters ever hurt you? Well, I guess we know the answer to that already. You figured that out, didn't you? Octavia narrows her eyes. Or maybe you want to hear all about the beatings I survived, the humiliations I've endured. Imagine the worst thing one person can do to another and multiply it tenfold. That's what happened to me nearly every day in slavery. Yeah, I can only imagine, especially with what we hear about in terms of real-life war and slavery, and the fact that now that we have an internet sort of supported news cycle, or things that get recorded now, and yeah, we can only infer what happened with slavery. So, masters. Oh, how I hate that word. Octavia shakes her head furiously, making her locks dance. They punished me because they wanted to hurt me, but what hurt even more was the mere fact of their existence. Well, you have a paladin at your side now, so let's just say that if we encounter people like that again, we don't have to worry about them hurting anyone, and hopefully we can prevent them from hurting anyone ever again. So this is obviously, you know, a painful topic and all that kind of thing. So let's go and switch off to something else now that we've kind of learned a lot about her with that. So let's talk about something else. Octavia stops you, gently touching your hand. Wait. I want to tell you. She sighs and shakes her head, as if trying to collect her thoughts. The Technic League agents you rescued us from. Reg and I tried to run away many times, but they always managed to find us eventually. I have no reason to hope that this time they've lost track of us for good. We have some alignment type options, and then we have, we have this kind of option here too. Lawful evil is just gonna sound like a true my goodness. I never throw away valuable resources. After she just got done telling us about how she hates being considered, talked to like she's property. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure that would definitely go down well with her. You can tell the sarcasm there is very clear. I won't let anyone harm those who are dear to me. Whatever happens, you can count on me. Or I can do an alignment option and be like, oh, I won't let those filthy slave traders take you again. Just let them try. I'm just going to go with this one. I won't let anyone harm those who are dear to me. Octavia raises her eyes to you and gives you such a warm smile that you're unable to not smile back. In the depths of her eyes, you notice something that wasn't there before. This unnamed feeling hides in a moment, but you're sure you know what it was. Trust. Thank you, Octavia whispers, touching your shoulder. Suddenly she frowns in contemplation, twirling her locks. Still, I'd like to find them first. So yeah, you have the alignment options, and then you have this one. There's sort of like a friendship option, I imagined, where it's like, it's like, hey, my friends, I'll always protect my friends, that kind of thing with Alyrra. So, and in real life, I'm kind of like that too. I'd always protect my friends, but in this case, it's kind of the way that we're going, right? You worship Calistria, right? Yes. Many slaves survived only thanks to their faith. Some lived hoping for a day when a good deity would deliver them. Some even offered deals to the evil gods, but me and Reg. Calistria has taught us the most important things. Expect no gifts from above. Rely only on ourselves. Never forgive those who wronged us. But at the same time, savor every droplet of pleasure we could squeeze from our bleak days. So I guess pleasure in this kind of way is maybe just the simple pleasures in life, that kind of thing. It's like if you like wine and then you just enjoy the days of drinking, wine with your friends, or having a good ale at the bar with, your companions, that kind of thing. It's kind of what I get from that. The simple things in life. It's amazing how, after all your hardships, you still remain so cheerful and optimistic. Octavia's smile fades a little. I try not to view my life as a never-ending course of sufferings. Yes, I've had my fair share of hard times, but I do need to recall them. But do I need to recall them? After all, along with the bad things, I had some good things as well. I had a dream, and I followed it, and eventually it came true. Following that path, I met Reg and you. Now I am freed and surrounded by friends. Octavia's voice trembles with hidden emotions, but her smile remains warm and sincere. So let's see here. Why do you need to find the Technic League agents? I broke free from slavery. Thanks to you, I've obtained everything I dreamed of, my freedom, and the opportunity to control my own life. I want to use this opportunity to fight the Technic League, at least the part of it that operates here in the Stolen Lands. I wish to free all of the slaves from their Technic League masters. Octavia gives you a warm smile and gently touches your hand. I do believe that while we're together, we can achieve a lot, even this. Alrighty then, get another sip of water there, and I am very curious. I just have to ask, how do you manage to look so gorgeous even when we're out in the middle of nowhere? I mean, you have your hair all done and all that kind of stuff, and you use magic perhaps? Some magic perfume maybe? Oh, so you've noticed. Octavia smiles slyly. My appearance is the result of a daily effort, and it's not easy. Do you know how much time it takes to create good makeup, or to mend a dress, even with the help of magic? So if someday you wake up early, an hour before dawn or so, you can actually check on me. You'll see how I prepare myself for a new day. Well, you sure put a lot of effort into this, but the results make it worthwhile. And then you have the most boring response imaginable down here. So much effort. Though that's your business. That's like the most boring response in any conversation that I could ever think of. And then I can tell him to stop wasting time on nonsense, which I guess is not an evil response. It's lawful neutral, apparently, so... Just focus on the task at hand. Do not focus on your beauty or your happiness at all. No siree. So, yep, the results definitely make it worthwhile. You bet! You know, I like to feel attractive, even while we're on the march. Octavia flashes a teasing smile at you. It feels so good to be a beauty in a group of barely washed and extremely reckless young gentlemen. You're my thorns, and I'm your rose. Octavia giggles. Yeah, it's like a fellow lady to a fellow lady talking about, prepping up in the morning, getting themselves prepared. Alyrra, a little bit, maybe her hair's a little bit more, unkempt. Not really unkempt, but she doesn't stylize it. She's just like, okay, I like my hair the way it is. I don't have to, spend an hour or two in the morning to get it ready, But it's beautiful hair nonetheless, and a beautiful face and all that. And so they can most certainly share and girl talk and that sort of thing. Anyway, alright, we'll talk later. It was a lovely chat, Octavia. Thank you. Sure. Octavia gives you a friendly smile. Come anytime. Get your heads out of the gutter when it says that. Anyone who's watching, come on now. I know what you're thinking. Don't. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk to Reganar here and see what he has to say, which is not exactly a bright prospect, but we're going to talk to him eventually, and so we might as well talk to him now. What do you want? Have a little chat? All right. Well, it's not like we have anything better to do. Tell me about yourself, Ragnar. I want to know about my companions. What is there to know? I was born, I'm alive, haven't died yet. That enough for you? Do you remember your childhood, perhaps? Ragnar scowls. What a crap question. I was just a kid when they sold me. Before that, I don't remember much. Smoky fires, stinky hides, always bumping along a horse. I think I was born in one of the Kelid tribes of Numeria. There are many. Some survive on their own. Some give up their pride and serve the Technic League. I guess mine was one of the cowards. If they sold their own kids. I remember my father's hands, rough, scarred, white. So I guess I get this green skin from my mother, but I don't remember her. I think I remember playing with another half-orc child, a brother maybe. For some reason they didn't sell him, just me. Father gave him his dagger to play with, never gave it to me. Ugh. I don't want to remember. Forget all this. I'm an orphan. Ragnar waves his hand wryly. I grew up a slave. That I remember well. So many things burned into my memory. Most of all, I remember her, my Octavia. Today we are almost the same age. But back then, she was twice as young as me, just a child. But a brave one. Cunning, bold, and beautiful. The most beautiful girl in the world. Excuse me for that at the end there. Sometimes you have gas that comes out in the chest while you're doing talking. Okay, so what deity do you worship? Ha! I never got much help from the gods so far. But if you make me choose, I'd say Calistria. Who else could I worship? The savored sting, the goddess of pleasure, fun, and revenge. Oh yes. So yeah, I guess as you can see there, Calistria. I'm certain that the mention that I made earlier of the sort of adult themes in the game and the sort of, not holding back as far as the content goes. I'm sure that if we were to have a conversation with Lindsay about Calistria, I'm sure the word orgy would come up again or something like that, considering that it's a literal goddess of lust. So I'd say that maybe the pleasures in life that our dear friend Octavia was talking about earlier might have also referred to pleasures of the flesh, perhaps. That it wasn't just the simple pleasures in life. Maybe it was also more pleasures of enjoying the bodily type pleasures. But yeah, that's it's interesting because usually, at least as far as my knowledge goes, I don't know if there's any particular deity in like Dungeons and Dragons that are particularly known as like a goddess of lust or that kind of desire and that kind of thing, or that kind of sin, I guess. But in Pathfinder, at the very least, in this setting, there is one. So people that savor those kinds of things in life, there's an actual goddess for it, and you can be like, oh yeah, I worship this person, and you can kind of already know, maybe just from the god that they worship, maybe what some of their beliefs are, and maybe what some of their stances are, and maybe the things that you can talk to them about without knowing them intimately as a friend, I guess. So yeah, that's an interesting little thing there with Calistria. Where did you get your magical powers? What magical powers? The hells are you talking about? Oh, you mean these. Reganar makes lightning run over his hands with a contented smile, then snaps his fingers, invoking a shower of blinding sparks. I've had them since I was born. At least one thing I can thank my scum parents for. Maybe these powers are why they sold me into slavery. I think they were scared? Or think they were scared? Who knows? Damn Numerians. At the Technic League, they drew my blood, did experiments, burned me with fire, tortured me with cold electricity, and they told me, you won't believe it, they told me I have blue dragon blood in my veins. Not bad, huh? I'm a dragon, you freaks. Come check my blood if you dare. Grinning, Reganar strikes his palm with a fist, and another fountain of electric sparks shoots upwards. Well, it's certainly interesting that, he seems very excited, at least about the power that he holds, but just not the people who gave him his powers, so... what do your tattoos mean? And you can kind of see in the portrait art there that there are the tattoos that you can kind of see on his arms there. And then the full body portrait would probably, in the character menu, would probably show even more of that. They are magical. They help me control my powers. The Technic League gave them to me. I'd hoped that somewhere on my body there was at least one sign left by my tribe. But no. I guess they didn't care to bother. To hell with them. They better hope I never find them. If I ever meet my father, I will even the score between us. How do you manage to use both a sword and magic and not cut off your fingers? Ha! It's simple. I'm just that bloody good. The half-orc gives a contented grin. That's a non-answer if I ever heard one. I don't remember him talking about being a master swordsman or training under someone that's very good, I guess. I guess that's how most people get very good, is they have a very good teacher, but that's just me. And that's maybe Alyrra's path and not his, so I guess he's just super strong man who can swing a sword really strong, I guess, so. Do you enjoy making people suffer with this attitude? Poof! Why should I care about their suffering? I do what I want. If I step on someone's toes, then they shouldn't have put themselves in my way. But chasing someone down just to torture them? That's only entertainment for maniacs like the Technic League. Well, on second thought... Well, for them, I would make an exception. I'd love to watch as I fry them nice and slow. But why do you ask? Do my methods shock you? Reganar clenches his fist, buzzing with sparks, and laughs loudly at his joke, and his dad joke is certainly going to hit it off and light a fire, maybe, and all the dad jokes out there. I don't know, maybe spark up a bit of humor. My jokes are even worse than his, I know. Well, I mean, we definitely disagree with his attitude and the way that he talks. But I think that neutral good fits Alyrra pretty well. If you treat your enemies like that, then what makes you any better than them if you treat them like trash all the time? And then you can, agree with him in some ways. But, yeah, I think this kind of describes Alyrra the most. If you treat your enemies like that, then you're just not really any better than the people that you've sworn to to do off with, I guess, if you just treat everyone like they're trash. And why would you think that I want to be better? What does that even mean? I have no delusions of purity. I don't need to prove to myself or my enemies that I'm better than them. Morally, spiritually, whatever. I just want them rotting in the ground so I can live, drink wine, and piss on their graves. Well, from what you've told me of your feelings about your parents, I imagine that you would also piss on their graves if they were ever to die and not shed a single tear at all. None whatsoever. So, yep, we definitely have a not-so meeting of the minds here. Well, thank you for your answers anyway. Thanks don't fill the purse. Haha, I'm just kidding. Tell me about your life in Numeria. You mean my life as a slave? I didn't see much, except for the slave barracks and the Technic League's twisted laboratories. How did you happen to become a slave? I was sold by my own tribe when I was just a little brat. The half-orc clenches his teeth, then spits on the ground and steps on it with his boot. So I grew up in a slave barracks. I was raised to be sold like a battle animal. They tried to break me, but they picked the wrong brat. No matter how much you beat this animal, he only gets angrier. The half-orc punches himself in the chest and snarls. Or something to that effect. Anyway, my bad sound effects aside, what did your masters teach you about magic? Can't you guess? Because magic is in my blood. It's why they bought me. I wasn't raised as some lowly mop slave, but as a murder machine. I'd fetch quite a nice sum of gold. You might also ask if they knew I'd take the first opportunity to rip their own guts out, using everything they taught me. Ha! Of course they did. But that's the Technic League. They calculate risk. Octavia kept pretending to be simple-minded, so they wouldn't expect anything of her. But I made every effort, though they didn't teach me much. What is there to teach? It's not book magic, that's innate. They made me practice with my sword more. But I did my best in everything. I studied all I could. They knew they were raising an enemy, but they thought they could keep me on a short leash, or sell me to someone with deep pockets, so I'd become someone else's problem. But who won in the end, huh? Who is free? Who will bury them all? The half-orc makes an obscene gesture in the northwestern direction toward Numeria. What else did you see beyond your life in chains? What could I have seen? Well, when we ran, we went through Starfall. That's a fine city. Big, loud, many merchants, things to see, things to steal. But I didn't have much chance to walk around. It's the very nest of the sodding Technic League. We were focused more on getting out alive. We met some barbarians. I asked them who might know what tribe I'm from, but they didn't know anything. I don't have any tribal tattoos. Nothing. Actually, they are all right. Well, some of them. The Bloodgars, for one, they're great. All the rivers are theirs. We sailed with them during one of our escapes, almost all the way to Ravoy, and they didn't turn us in. But the White Scars got us after that. Those guys are shit. They've sold their pride to the Technic League. Oh, one more thing. One time Octavia and I tried to escape and stumbled across a Numerian monster. I'll never forget it. A huge spider, the size of a house, made of metal, spitting fire, shooting deadly rays all around. That thing could probably tear even a dragon to pieces. Ruined our escape plans too. We had to go back. Huge spider, made of metal, spitting fire. Dare I say that reminds me of Wild Wild West, for anyone that might get the reference to that. Anyway, did you and Octavia try to escape? What do you think? Of course we tried, you idiot. I stopped counting how many times. Jumped from windows, dug tunnels, choked out guards, or seduced them. That happened too. Ha ha ha. But those dirtbags caught us every time. Every bloody time. My back is covered with whip scars. Lucky we were prize property. They spent too much gold on us to just kill us. Anyone else would be hung and forgotten. But they kept trying to break us and recoup their expenses. I don't know whether I could have survived by sheer stubbornness if it weren't for Octavia. I probably couldn't have. I would have just given up and died. But I had to pull my girl out of that meat grinder. And she believed in me. And had enough hope for both of us. When I lay there with my back slashed to pieces, she whispered to me about the River Kingdoms where there's no slavery, where everyone can go wherever they want and take whatever they want. I'll be damned, but I thought she was just making this up to keep our hopes alive. And now it turns out to be true. All of it, every last word. No chains, no slaves, no laws, just live and be happy. Is slavery legal in Numeria? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are some laws against it, but even in Starfall, a third of the people live in bondage. And that's the capital! In regions where the Black Sovereign's hand doesn't reach, they hold to tribal customs instead of laws. The barbarians don't keep slaves. Instead, they have thralls. Big bloody difference. And on top of all that mess, there's the Technic League. Law and custom mean nothing to those slime balls. They just take whatever and whoever they want. Oh, thank you for all your answers, Ragnar. Ask away. What kind of a relationship do you have with Octavia? Well, my Octavia and I don't have a relationship. We have a life together. How did you meet? Back when we were children, we were taken as apprentices by a great spellcaster Janusz. Maestro Janusz, he called himself. He was our teacher. Well, he made Octavia read books and memorize spells. I have my own innate magic. Apologies for the yawning out of character. He trained me a bit, taught me how to control my gifts, so I wouldn't lose control and incinerate myself like a dumbass. Oh, teacher, we will meet again. There's one more test I must pass. But you were asking about my Octavia. We've been together all our lives. We learned everything together. How to weave magic and how to survive. And as we grew older, we learned how to love. Without each other, we would have never gotten out of there, that's for sure. We would have given up and surrendered to death. But together, that's a very different story. Not the first time, and not the 10th, but eventually we made it out. Now that's certainly the power of love and the power of friendship. Very. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the theme and the idea. The power of love is arguably the greatest power in the world, and it can certainly influence people in many ways, and can give them untold power in and of itself to maybe do what is right in the face of a great evil, or maybe, go against injustice, to do whatever it is to protect your loved ones and keep them safe, etc. Another sip of water always does the talking Let's Player good when he's reciting lots of dialogue. Why do you call her yours? She doesn't seem to like that very much. My girl loves freedom so much, and even a slight chance of losing it frightens her. She is so smart. You really think she feels like I'm trying to make her mine, like an apple stolen at a market? Me, who was skinned alive for trying to help her escape? If she's afraid of the word my, it's because she doesn't understand the difference between my boots and my heart. But she will understand, sooner or later. Are you and Octavia faithful to each other? Octavia and I are connected, and this connection cannot be broken. We grew into each other, you know? Jealousy is for weak cowards who don't trust each other and are scared of being tricked. If a knight on the side threatens your love, that just means there was no real love there to begin with. She and I are together, to the end, and we will never part from each other. So when she likes some lad or some lass, it's no drama to me. I just ask her whether she wants me to leave them alone or join in, and she does the same. Ha 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 ha! Well then. What? Are you judging us? Or maybe you just want to join us in our tent, hmm? The half-orc grins. I mean, far be it from me, definitely the two are very attractive individuals. Physically, anyway. Reganar, his personality is, it has the attractiveness of cow dung. But physically, he is definitely a mighty lad, I should say. Now, obviously, this is a dialogue that's kind of, it gives you an option to lead or lean into a romance kind of path with either of them, and possibly both of them at the same time. It's from what I understand, it you probably could go into a path of both of them at the same time, and then join in some romantic interludes with both of them at the same time, and do all that kind of thing with the furry openness and sexuality that they both seem to have, especially if their deity Calistria, that is a goddess of lust. So, but I guess for Alyrra, being a paladin and being the kind of personality that she is, without being faithful to the one that you love, or to someone that you do love, I mean, it doesn't mean as much to me, so I couldn't do that. To me, love is impossible without faithfulness to that person. Reganar smirks. Live as you wish. I'm not trying to get into your bed. Well, thank you once again for your answers, Reganar. Don't mention it. Alright, well, I have to go, and I need to go and get some rest. So let's go ahead and end this. So long. If you want to know anything else, just ask. Don't be shy. Just don't go pale when I answer. Okay, then. So yeah, Reganar and Octavia certainly have an interesting relationship, and one that isn't exactly built on faithfulness, but there is a connection there. It's interesting that they live by the seat of their pants, and they like to have the freedom to do what they want and to not feel like they're restricted in the kind of choices that they can make. As evidenced by the fact that both of them are of chaotic alignments here, though there are on opposite spectrums as far as, you know, good and evil, and impulsiveness and maybe more mindfulness on Octavia's part, whereas Reganar is more impulsive and doesn't really think things through, and he wants to let his anger control him and that kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully our ability and persuasion is going to be able to help us out a bit in keeping people to maybe realize the error of their ways. And as we saw here, we had some more good aligned dialogue options. We are kind of drifting somewhat away from lawful good that we started off with as Paladin. I'm not sure if through our dialogue choices, I don't know if it will cause us to lose Paladin abilities. I might have to... A paladin who ceases to be lawful good loses all paladin spells and class features. She cannot thereafter gain levels as a paladin until she changes the alignment back. Well, that's certainly an interesting thing. I don't know, her personality, I mean, it seems very well reflected in most of these choices. But it is interesting that we're kind of drifting away from lawful good. Maybe if we had lawful neutral, we might drift a bit more in this direction as well for certain lawful kinds of choices. This is sort of like from a bygone era as far as tabletop rules go, where if you cease to be a certain alignment, then you might lose class features. Even if you're clearly still good and you still have the same ideals as you did before, if you cease to be in a certain alignment, then you would lose your abilities. Or if you lost like reputation to do evil things, for example, or lost reputation doing evil things, for example, then you would cease to be a paladin anymore, and you would be like a fallen paladin that would not have your abilities anymore until you redeemed yourself through choices or doing good acts again, or repentance or something like that. So hopefully that does not become an issue during this playthrough, but I like to do the dialogue options that I feel fit her personality and everything. And playing a paladin is kind of what I wanted to play mechanically and thematically. There are different kinds of paladins out there, so thankfully in more recent editions, you don't have to have only one or the other kind of alignment for a certain kind of class. So hopefully it's not going to be an issue, though, going forward with making decisions and things like that. So, all right, so it looks like we're all well rested up. So let's go ahead and see what we're Alright, so we can't talk to him anymore. Is there anything we want to put into storage? Well, we know the Stag Lord's location of his fortress now, so we could go after him. We still don't have proficiency in dueling sword yet, so we can't quite use that yet. Yeah, I think we already did everything that we wanted to do with our inventory and scaling down the inventory as far as what we're carrying. So I don't think we need to worry too much about that. I don't know if we want to take Alyrra along instead of Harem, maybe. I think I need to go to the...
Let us press on.
Yeah, I think I need to go over to the screen here to change up the party members so that way I can take Alyrra along. Since I probably prefer him to her to Harem. And I turned up the master volume here, so some sounds are maybe a little bit louder than usual. So let me go ahead and check this real quick. Yeah, I turned the master volume up a little bit. And hopefully during conversations, for voiced conversations, it's just going to make it easier to be able to hear that. It looks like there's a small bit of screen tearing there, but not going to worry too much about it. I think that probably going to happen in some games out there. So let's see, he just has a long sword, a cloak of resistance. I don't know if we want to go ahead and... let's go and get rid of some of this at least. Score protection from evil is going to be good. Let's just go ahead and put these scrolls in our inventory here. We don't really need the potion. I guess the composite longbow is something we want to have Reganar use, actually, since we're going to have him in the party. So let's go ahead and swap out the longbow that he has for his ranged option. So yeah, as you can see there, it's going to do a reasonable amount of damage if he hits with an attack. So composite longbow, definitely good for him. And let's swap out that with the masterwork longbow for him. So I guess the question is, do we want to get rid of some of this and give full plate to anyone else in the party that we might have? I think that he can wear light armor, and that's it for his character abilities for his class. Yeah, so he's proficient with light armor, and that's the only armor that he can wear. So full plate's not going to be an option for him, but we can go ahead and swap out some of this gear here, I believe. And let's turn on some of these sound effect options. I'm not sure how you can turn down the sound effect volume. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, because the master volume I think might control the sound effect volume, but I'm not sure if there's a slider in the audio options to turn off just the sound effect or turn down the sound effect volume for the clicking and things like that I don't really want all that much. personally. Okay, so there's our deflection bonuses. I guess we can go ahead and give him some of these things to help him out a little bit. Okay, so he has that. Masterwork Scimitar. It's not magical, but probably should be able to do. Okay then, so I think that's all we really need for that. So I think we're still going to go ahead and take Amiri along here. And we might do a little bit of traveling in this episode. I'm not sure if we're going to get into any major things this episode outside of the dialogue that we've had so far. So I think the idea of what I have here is that I want to have Amiri and Reganar as like heavy hitters as far as being really strong and being able to go ahead and smack with attacks, while Valerie and Alyrra go ahead and do the tanking, and then Reganar and Amiri can come in from behind the front line there, and then they can kind of land some attacks, maybe with increased reach from enlargements and that kind of thing, maybe. Let's see, you have the tiger for the lore and morale, and then you have the morale bonus to saving throws, perception and lore, or lore nature, yeah. So I guess she's the best at nature by a good amount. Many of them are pretty good at perception, but because you want one person to be clearly the best at a lore check, yeah, I think it's a good idea to have her do lore nature. She's by far the best. I know that Harim could be reasonably good with nature, I think, as well. But she's the best. So we'll keep that basically the same. And I don't know if there's anything else we want to swap around in inventory. I think we have all the potions and stuff that we're going to want. Mage armor can be useful, but I think that we can get that with Octavia, since it's a conjuration magic. So could give Amiri, could give her the yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and, well, Reganar might be more important to not have succumb to saving throw type effects and that kind of thing, so because he has a super high strength and we kind of need that in combat. So then again, she has the big ginormous sword, so I guess let's just go ahead and give it to Amiri then. We might end up finding some more things like that along the way, so. Okay, so we have this location that we scouted out earlier, which is a random encounter location, I believe. I guess there's Ratnook Hill as well that we explored a bit. That's around And then we have this. So this is the location of the Stag Lord's Fort, and it's the sort of main quest line that we've been looking to do throughout this entire time. So I think at this point we're probably ready to go ahead and face the challenge. I don't know if there's anywhere else we want to go and visit right now. Obviously there's more portions of the Gnarl Marshes that we can explore later, and a couple of locations that we could go to on the way back from the Stag Lord. Because there is a bit of a time limit here that I'm not sure what the time limit is or how long that we have. Yes, yada yada, Temple of the Elk, Tuskcutter, and the Miri, yada yada. So we have plenty of time technically, but I want to get it done as fast as possible for the aspect of what comes, I bet, after defeating the Stag Lord. And for Alyrra too, it's like, you know, in character, it's like we can't allow this guy to just run rampant on the land, and we can't allow him to just, you know, keep getting away with this stuff. We got to deal with him as soon as we can reasonably do it. So that's kind of the in-character reason. And then mechanically, you know, obviously completing it sooner will end up being better for, you know, what comes after you become the leader or the lord of the Stolen Lands. So that's kind of what's going on here. So let's go down there and go down to see if we can pay the Stag Lord a visit. So what route would it suggest to get down there? Okay, so let's go over down here. I'm going to go ahead and save the game here real quick, just in case. I like to go ahead and make save games just in case there's glitches or bugs that happen or a game crash, whatever. You know, so I don't have to go through all the dialogue again with the companions. So let's go over here. 14 hours, that'll be fine. So we're going to go ahead and travel around the forested area so that we can travel much, much faster. Okay, so let's go ahead and fight these guys. And we'll probably go ahead and rest before entering the Stag Lord's Fort, so that way Valerie can get her AC bonus from maintaining her armor. So let's see what we have in store for us today. And we have some mites. Well, okay. If they insist, we'll go ahead and do all this. I guess we'll have...
I'll cut you!
Yeah, he has a very unpleasant sounding voice from my recollection here, so... let's go ahead and have you do that. And then... I guess you can't charge them because of the terrain, maybe? Now you can. So let's have you both go ahead and charge that mite. See, I'm just kind of splitting them up here a little bit just to try and kill them faster and prevent like ranged attacks or spells and that kind of thing. So might as well just go and collect this stuff. The padded armor obviously is not worth very much, but it's better just to go ahead and collect it in case you have an opportunity to sell it. So, and with two really strong companions, we have plenty of carry weight for our party, so we can carry close to 1,300 pounds of loot, so I am not too worried. And then maybe we'll go ahead and put a Miri in front of Reganar in the formation. So yeah, I took a light amount of damage that combat, but not really anything I'm too worried about. We have plenty of healing with a Paladin and a Bard, so I am totally okay. So if we want to get to the Stag Lord's Fort, we have to go south this direction. Or at least that's the fastest route that the game is telling us to get there. So we'll travel on this side of the river and hope that we have like a river crossing down there. So let's see. Alright, so we have someone on the road. Get ready. Alright, so we have a story-based kind of event here, so let's go ahead and check it out. Having reached the edge of the milky white blanket, we stopped. I have never seen a denser, thicker fog in all my life. Stretching my hand forward, I could hardly see the outline of my fingers, and if my arms were as long as my companions', I don't think I'd even see my elbows. We exchanged hesitant looks. It would be impossible to find one's way. It would be impossible to find one's way through this haze. So we got like Lindsay, and I guess this is like Ragnar, Amiri with a big sword. Maybe that's like Octavia, Valerie, and then I guess this is Tristan right there. So I mean that at least that looks like Tristan. So yeah, I guess you could take Tristan along for this, I guess, but when we were talking to him, he hadn't really healed up just yet, so maybe we're going ahead and we didn't give him enough time to recover before being able to take him along, but never mind. I don't know if lighting our way with a torch is going to do all that much good. One of us used magic to try and analyze the fog. Let's go and do that. We exchanged hesitant looks. It would be impossible to find one's way through this haze. It was clear the gloom was of unnatural origin. But who or what could have spawned such a thing? Well, we already kind of know the answer to that. We kind of already figured out in previous episodes when we were investigating the one sort of hut type area that the Stag Lord apparently grew up in and was abused by his father at. His father was a very powerful druid, and so through his anger and his revenge on his father, he got his father, the powerful druid, to create the fog for him. And the curse of the fog, I guess you could say. So we kind of know the source of the fog as far as that goes, but I guess in case we hadn't inferred all of that, maybe out of character and perhaps in character with a conversation with the Guardian of the Bloom, then this is kind of another thing there, I guess. So I guess we can light our way with a torch. I guess this option might be available to us. I don't know if we have the ever-burning torches in our inventory or not, and if that affects our choice, but we'll try it anyway. The fire colored the fog in homely, warm tones, but this did not improve visibility. Fortune favors the brave. Having formed a single line, with our hands on each other's shoulders, we moved forward carefully. Soon the air became so damp it was hard to breathe, and we were soaking wet in the blink of an eye. With each step, our eyes told us less and less, until finally we were completely blind. It was positively impossible to continue in this way. After a roll call, having made sure all of us were in place, we tried to turn around and walk in the opposite direction. Alas! We may as well have had our eyes closed. Stumbling and cursing anything and everything, we strayed for half the day, it was only by sheer luck that we managed to come clear of that place, and exactly in the spot we had started out from. Tired, wet, and hungry, we swore that there was nothing that would make us walk back into that haze. So I guess that direction is off limits. Let's see just how much time did pass. So I think it was like 69 days and 1 hour, and we traveled for 14 hours to get down there, and then another couple of hours, I guess, to move down to that spot. So I guess it did take a bit of time, I think, anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and save the game here again, because I don't want to have to, you know, deal with more stuff that's going to prevent me from getting to the Stag Lord's Fort. Maybe I need to go ahead and go back. If I have to go all the way back to the trading post to talk to Jod about this, that would be terrible, but maybe I have to talk to Tristan or something like that to activate this. So I'm going to try this again from this other direction. Maybe I have to come in from this direction to be able to get to the Stag Lord's Fort, and this direction doesn't work. Fair enough. The other side that the game was telling us to go to as the fastest way to get there was apparently a red herring. Because, well, let's just say that it sent us on a wild goose chase through the fog. And that was not very nice. That was not nice. So let's just go ahead and save our game then. Hopefully it's not going to make any difference in the grand scheme that we had to travel and then go back and then travel again. So let's go into the Stag Lord's Fort here and see if we can rest when we're already inside the location. But you know what? Maybe it might be better just to camp this way, but I think that we want to... There are occasionally some different dialogues that happen if you camp while you're in an actual area map, so let's go ahead and do that if we can. Reganar sizes up the Stag Lord's Fort from afar, then looks at you and shakes his head with a smirk. Well, we're here. A handful of lunatics are about to assault a whole fortress, stuffed with bandits armed to the teeth, who have been keeping the entire region under their boot. Truth be told, I wouldn't bet a copper bid on us right now. You'd have to be a complete psycho to do this. So, damn right I'm with you. If we somehow make it out of this alive, I'll smother you with kisses. I'm glad I wasn't wrong about you. Onward to victory! Yes, forward! Let's show them! Yeah, I'm not sure if that changes based on having other party member layouts, I guess, if who you have in your party, but thankfully it seems to have worked out nicely for us. So let's go and camp since we're kind of fatigued here, and let's see if we can check out the spells that we have prepared here to see if we want to change anything out before this Stag Lord battle here. Enlarge Person is good. Grease is good. We can cast it in multiple places. Yeah, I guess all creatures in a 15-foot cone would be interesting. Burning Hands could be interesting if she were more melee oriented, but she does not have the hit points to be a frontliner, not in any way, so that's kind of a risky spell to take. So Constitution, not really her strength and her strong suit, so 19 hit points compared to Valerie, who has 60. So 1/3 the hit points of one of our frontliners is not very good. So I guess we could, well, I guess 2 greases is probably pretty nice. Magic Missile could be good too. Another casting of Mage Armor may not be bad, actually. So that way we can go ahead and maybe cast Mage Armor on herself and on Alyrra. Everyone else, I believe, has on armor of some kinds, but yeah, maybe that might be best. Let's just go ahead and take out one of those, and for this particular combat, I want to cast Mage Armor on both Octavia and Alyrra, I think. Let's see, he can cast Mage Armor, but I think I want to save my spell slots for him on other things, if possible. I don't know. Maybe I can just use Mage Armor with Reganar instead. Doesn't make too much difference here since they can both get their spell slots back here, but and so yeah, she can't cast anything. Yeah, so I think it's about all the preparation that I can really do. I think Mirror Image and Scorching Ray, pretty much what I want. I have one casting of Web and then one casting of Grease, and then Lindsay also has Grease, so should be interesting, to say the least. Let's go and give ourselves a final save game here before getting ourselves involved with the Stag Lord.
I'm hungry. When we stop?
Now, don't worry, Mary. Just in 1 second here. There we go. Why can't we cook here? We can't cook or hunt here. No, I don't want to skip time. Let's escape the screen then and go to the world map and see if we can go ahead and rest on this particular screen. Silly me for thinking I could rest in a location like that and do hunting. Silly me. I don't know, maybe it's because the fog is really thick in this area that it doesn't allow you to do that or something or other. See, like here we can do it, but when we're at the actual fort location, we can't do it. So I don't understand why that's the case, but there you go. There you go, indeed. Okay, so her knowledge world would be plus 12, and for her it would be plus 11. Alright, so I guess she's still the best one for the cooking. And then we have her for the hunting. So yep, I think we'll just go with that. The good old hearty meal. And she's going to maintain her armor.
Do you remember the ones we lived with in the same barracks? What do you think happened to them?
I don't think about them. And I recommend you don't either. We have each other, and I don't care about anyone else.
Well, the cook spoiled the hearty meal, but we have the maintain armor, so at least we have that going for us, so... Yeah, it's interesting that Reganari doesn't really seem to care about anyone other than Octavia, though he does make, I guess, romantic hints and advances at your character. So, I don't know exactly if he thinks... I don't know exactly if he thinks of his brain very much, but I think everyone's just free to form their own opinion on him, and let that be as it may, I guess, so... Alright, now that we have that taken care of, let's go ahead and save the game once again. I mean, now that we've done the resting portion, let's do the actual fighting the Stag Lord portion and end this, as they might say in the movies. I guess it's a bit less dramatic to be forced to rest on the main map screen instead of the other screen here, but either way, same difference. Let's see what happens here.
Ready and willing.
So let's do a bit of mage armor on you. I don't know if I need to turn master volume down ever so slightly. Okay, so we're doing mage armor on Alyrra, and then we'll do mage armor on Octavia here.
I yearn for entertainment.
And so with this, do we have any arcane spell chance failure? I guess I could go ahead and cast mage armor on him too, but yada yada. I don't know if it says anything about... Ah, okay. He can cast magic spells while wearing light armor without incurring the normal arcane spell failure chance. So that means that as long as he wears only light armor and he isn't wielding like any shields or anything like that, then he doesn't worry about all that nonsense. So it is a good thing, because then he can wear like magical armor, for example, without worrying about what's going on with the spell failure chance, and higher AC potential than mage armor, obviously. And then I guess what are some buff spells we want to go ahead and do before doing all of this? Yeah, let's just go ahead and I think we definitely want to have heroism. Mirror image would be good too. I think we'll do heroism on Alyrra, because persuasion checks, obviously, that'll be a thing. We want to have one person that absolutely won't be likely to fail on saving throws, so that way she has super high saving throws for that.
Together we are unstoppable.
And then enlarge person, we can go ahead and cast on him as well as Amiri.
I won't let you down.
Just letting the ink dry.
And then we'll wait on Bless until we get more into combat here. I guess Remove Fear is a good spell to cast here pre-combat. 10-minute duration, so let's do that. Okay, so we have Enlarged Person going now. Blur and Mirror Image, Shield. I guess it kind of sucks to have to pick between some of these self-buffing spells now because of that. Should have probably been paying more attention because I forgot that the different spells are not coming from like the same pool.
Any fun to be had?
I guess I've already casted some level 1 spells, so I think I do have enough spell slots left here to go ahead and cast all of these, I think, anyway. So I think that let's do Shield for you. Let's do Mirror Image for you. And then let's cast Mirror Image on you. See, I'm just going to go ahead and prepare as much as I possibly can for this important combat. The spells that are going to have enough of a duration that by the time I get to by the time I get to dealing with the Stag Lord, then I'm going to be able
Anything
to
is possible.
still have my spells going, basically. And then let's get the good old resistance cantrip going here.
Where to now?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's... Like, I'm not sure how exactly he's going to make use of cantrips with his Magus kind of stuff. Because these are like ranged attacks, and he's going to be in melee, obviously, so... And then I guess we'll just go ahead and cast Blur on... I guess if he doesn't need to cast it on himself, then... So yeah, I guess we can cast Blur on Alyrra since she's dexterity focused, so... Oh, then again, I think Blur might actually be better to cast on Reganar or someone like that, so... because they are... Because Alyrra... excuse me. Alyrra and Valerie already have such a high AC where... Blur isn't really going to make as big of a difference with them for the concealment chance to have the attacks miss them. Whereas with the lower AC characters, getting enemies to miss an attack against them would probably fare much better.
What's the holdup?
To get the most out of the spell. Let's do resistance on you, and let's do it on you.
What troubles you?
And then heck, why not you, Reganar? And so perhaps we want to go ahead and enlarge anyone else, maybe. Probably not. Might save it for a True Strike or Shocking Grasp, maybe. And then let's go ahead and save our game. Alrighty then. So on to finally deal with this Stag Lord. Well, there's Cressel, who we encountered earlier.
Now, this is a surprise. I'm on my way to pay the Stag Lord a visit, and I don't expect it to be a friendly one. How about we go together? I'd appreciate some help during the fight.
Well, this is certainly a surprise on our part as well to see you here, Cressel. Why did you decide to rebel against the Stag Lord anyway?
I used my head finally. I grew up in Rostov, choking on hypocrisy. The Aldori make like these brave, noble defenders of justice. But they're afraid to do so much as bark at Shatova. The Stag Lord, he seemed different. Mighty, menacing, like a huge wave rolling toward the shore. He said he'd build a new kingdom here, and anyone brave enough to fight under his banner would get a new life. But now? Now he just sits in his fortress, drinking away and plumbing his bedroom pillows for some queen of his. Though, I can't say if she's real or just a symptom of his drunken delirium.
Well, I can say that if such a queen exists, I imagine that it is not a, if it isn't just a figment of his imagination, I can't imagine any queen that would want to actually be with him, so...
I trusted him. In his name, I almost got Svetlana killed. The only living soul who's been kind to me. I was wrong, and I want to right that wrong with my own hands. I will free these lands of Stag Lord.
Well, in my own creaking of my limbs there, if you heard it on the mic, and adjusting in my couch for the impending suicide mission battle, or whatever you'd call it. So what's your plan then? We're going to... Hopefully we're going to go and free the lands of the Stag Lord here. So let's see, what is the plan?
What's the plan? A fight's a fight. They'll let me and anyone with me inside the fort. No questions asked. Once we're in there, we call out the Stag Lord and tell him it's time to demonstrate his royal ambitions.
Royal ambitions, air quotes. Well, it's interesting that you can have these different options here. Especially after pre-buffing as much as we did, we'd want to get into a fight as soon as possible to make sure our spells don't wear off. Maybe direct attack might not be the best option, so I'll look for other ways to enter the fort. Stay alert and join me when you hear the sounds of fighting. We'll start the fight, and then I assume they'll join us when they hear the swords clanging and the arrows flying. So,
fine. Just don't take long.
Okay, so let's... I assume that the path over there is where the Stag Lord's fortress is. We can find an alternative way in to surprise them, maybe. I have no idea. But we certainly don't want it to take long.
Blood for Gorham!
And, well, there goes the maintain armor bonus, I guess, so...
Serves you right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of this. Let's go ahead and let's get Lindsay over here with the rest of the party, and let's go ahead and get some What is that? Thylacine pelts, I think it was. Thylacine or thylacine pelts. I don't know. I don't even know my own words at this point. It's so funny. Okay. Inspire competence. And then let's have Amiri go in here and skin some pelts here. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Had one of the lowest possible rolls to go ahead and not skin that one, but okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and keep going and see if we can find a way in. I guess this is like the edge of the map over here. So maybe where the thylacines came from, maybe that leads to somewhere we can get in. As well as a hidden body. What's this? Human's corpse with signs of torture. Perhaps it was a bandit. Perhaps it was a bandit's prisoner, or even one of them, punished for some misdeed. Oh, I don't want to imagine what happened there, so... Okay, so I guess I was assuming that there might be like an alternative way to get in here. But I think that over there is like the edge of the map, I think. So maybe more on the left side of this map there's going to be something for us to take a look at here before all of my spells run thin. And I guess we have a couple of zombies over here that need disposing of. Let's go ahead and turn off these and switch to a ranged weapon until we get to the main meat and potatoes combat here. That way we don't lose hit points on something like this.
Tear them apart!
Okay, and they're both fighting defensively and getting their tank action on. Let's kill them quickly so we can get through the main combats at hand. Okay. Do they have anything? They do not. Yeah, I don't think that the duration on our spells is going to do very good here, so I don't know if we're going to be able to find an alternative way in like we were implied we'd be able to do. But we do have zombie lords and different things like that coming after us, so... Alyrra, let's get you over there.
One.
Octavia, you get back. I don't really care about the attacks of opportunity. I just want to get my characters a bit closer together here so they can consolidate their fire.
Consider me provoked.
Oh, God damn it. Like, what's with all these zombies sneaking out of nowhere? Okay, well... time for you guys to switch to your melee weapons after all. You want to take care of that zombie for me, please?
Bleed for me.
Let's go ahead and take care of the zombie lords. Figure if all the melee protections and stuff, we might as well just go and send them into melee combat. There we go. The zombie lords had a couple of shields and swords or whatever, so... There we are, that's what we were looking for. So we can use athletics to take care of that. Since the duration on my spells is likely going to run out, I might as well just explore the area while I can. I was assuming I'd be able to get into a fight straight away, which I guess technically I could have done, but I thought looking for an alternative way in might give me a head or a leg up on combat when it comes to meeting the Stag Lords, so I guess maybe I got a little bit over eager to go ahead and get all my spell buffs in and things like that, so lesson learned. But usually casting buffing spells and things like that pre-combat is usually the best idea, but in this case it kind of backfired because I did not encounter the combat soon enough, so... And let's use Bless for this fight. Maybe we don't really need Bless, maybe we just need some inspiration. They've gotten a few hits in our tanks, but all things considered, I think they're still doing alright. Considering how much that they get flanking and all that kind of stuff. And I've just gotten some good old-fashioned critical hits in there, I assume. I think a zombie dealt a bit of damage there to Valerie. And naturally, it was a critical hit, so that's kind of... Sometimes you get unlucky and they just get a critical hit, and that's how they hit you, so that's bound to happen. 723 gold. Wow. That's interesting. Who died here? Maybe like merchants or bandits or something? Ancient ruins with signs of more recent but likewise destroyed buildings. It seems that someone tried to settle here before the bandits. Well, I guess it doesn't really surprise me that the Stag Lord wasn't the first one to call dibs on this area, so... Yeah, so as you can see, the spell durations that I cast on my characters and such is running on down, so... But thankfully, heroism's still going to keep going on for a while, as well as mage armor, so... What is your AC with mage armor looking? Looking pretty good, I think. Yeah, armor bonus. Yep, so... Mage armor certainly does very well for Alyrra. Makes it almost competitive with the AC that Valerie is kicking in there. We don't have anyone with an absurdly low AC, so that's good. So everyone is reasonably well protected from attacks. Exploring the edge of the map here. And then we'll probably go ahead and heal up Valerie a little bit here before finally going into the fortress. And then we'll take advantage of what limited spell slots that we have left available after all the pre-buffing and just try and make the best of it. Is there anything around this big rock? Big hunk of stone? No. What about down here? Yeah, the pathfinding in the location that you go into is a bit of a bugger, but usually not all too bad. Alright, so just perusing the walls here, we can open it up by force, or we can use mobility to get through there and just hop over it. So you're the one that's good at athletics. That doesn't give much of an armor penalty, but for mobility, what do we have? We have a good bit of mobility, and Alyrra is very good at mobility because it's not only a class skill, but she's very good at dexterity and everything, so... And racially very good as well. Athletics, not so much, but mobility, very good, so maybe we can just go with that. Let's go ahead and climb over the hill. Or climb over the hall, or the wall. Jeez. I am tongue-twisting my own words here. We're going to climb over the wall instead of the stone hill there, and see how we can do.
This task is beyond me.
What? Oh, it's because you rolled a natural 1, that's why. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's see if we can do it by force then.
Think again before you ask the impossible.
What?
Who dares disturb me while I'm drinking?
Really? Really, game? All because of a natural 1, and then... What did you roll? Oh, come on! Oh, come on! What? No! What? How was I supposed to know that we'd get spotted on a failed check? Come on, he didn't even do that bad. If I took the armor off of him, he would have succeeded. Oh, man. Come on, game. A natural 1, then failing by 1. What are the chances of that? Like, come on. Okay, well, we'll just have to make the best of it and hope that we don't get killed here, I guess. They're ready for us, and they're going to try and murder us, but again, we'll just have to make the best of it. I guess we weren't stealthy enough in our activities and we got spotted. Thanks a lot, Alyrra. Thanks a lot for that mobility check of natural 1. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, looks like we have a bandit over there. Let's go ahead and heal ever so slightly. So that way we can have her get some hit points back. I think a bit of Cure Light Wounds would also be good.
Yes.
And let's do it one more time. Let's switch you guys back to your composite longbows here so we don't lose any unnecessary health here.
And Lindsay was called forth.
Do that one more time, and let's get in there.
This is for you.
Definitely get rid of
You
the
deserved it.
alchemist. Yep, that's the bomb. That is the bomb. Let's go ahead and get people in there, but maybe we need to send you guys in the melee now. Try and smack them. And get the power attack thing going there. And hopefully you guys get in there in time to prevent Valerie from going down from this blasted alchemist. See if we can get Valerie back up. Healed them for 1 hit point. Okay, well. Alright, well, what to do? So I guess she failed against the Tanglefoot bombs. And Alyrra didn't, so that was kind of what happened, is that I think Alyrra was able to succeed against a good number of those saving throws. Why isn't anyone moving? Okay. Let's see what all we gain from all that. Heavy pick +1. Not going to use that from that previous loot. Couple of the alchemist things. We have a couple potions here that we could use if we want to. Potion Shield of Faith might not be bad. Might get rid of remove blindness there. And because we don't have a cleric in the party, Shield of Faith, not a bad potion to drink. Maybe not a bad potion for you to drink either. And that one's Lesser Restoration, a large person, okay. Alright, so I think that kind of settles all of that. I don't know if we want to have you use a Scroll of Cure Light Wounds at this point, or just potions.
I am your shield.
Let's go and have her drink one of these potions. A whole 2 hit points. Okay. And I don't want to... I might use a scroll of cure light wounds here.
Our time has come.
Another 4 hit points. Let's go ahead and do some more healing here, because we need it. And then let's have you just drink a couple potions here. Since we don't have a cleric for more dedicated group-based healing, that's kind of what we have to do here, since we don't have the aura thing that you can use. The heal the living aura, I think. Take the potion off of you. Let's use a potion on you as well. Might as well take it off of you and have someone use it who needs it more. And then let's have you drink another potion. Okay, so we got into decent fighting shape here. Hopefully it's going to be enough. Still have just a little bit more of lay on hands available. That looks like it might end up being a lockpicking. Never mind, it's not. It is not. And let's give you a Shield of Faith potion, and let's give you an Enlarged Person potion. Some of the goods were stained in blood. It's not hard to guess the sad fate of their owners.
Hey!
And in going around to try and open up the barrel, we instead initiate combat. How silly. Let's go ahead and inspire competence here. Inspire courage. There we are. So we can cleave them into 2, and hopefully we just take him on down. I guess someone must have hit Alyrra there, because her health looks like it's lower than it was. Once again, natural 20. What else is new? So, yeah, it's bound to happen. But we won the battle, so let's not dwell on it too much. Let's just enjoy the fact that we didn't get killed there. And it looks like we have an alchemist over there. So it's going to be a tough thing to do. Might want to lay on hands ourselves for 1 hit point. Oop. Do we have anything to help us here? Monster summoning. That could certainly be useful. So let's go and give you a summon monster scroll as well then, since you can do that. Freedom of movement might actually be pretty good. Do we already have you with the spellbook? Freedom of movement? I don't know if we've given it to you yet. Let me go ahead and save my game here. I don't know if Octavia's learned freedom of movement through a scroll yet. Things went poorly, but to get in here, but I'm just going to make the best of what I've got. So, just the way it is. Oh, that's right. It's abjuration, so she can't learn it. So, okay. Very well then. Let's go and give you freedom of movement, because that could be useful for a well-placed grease spell or a web spell. So, I can cast it on like Alyrra or someone like that, or not Alyrra, but maybe Valerie would be a better candidate, because Alyrra has such good saving throws that it probably won't matter all that much if she goes through difficult terrain kind of stuff, so she won't have to worry about the saving throws from something like Grease, whereas someone like Valerie probably would need to worry about that, so okay, so, and then, scroll of protection from evil. Again, it's abjuration, so can't really learn it as far as the spell goes. Alright, so let's go ahead and put protection from evil on you, since you have good use magic item. I feel like I'm going a bit over time here as far as, not really over time, but I feel like it's been a good while since I started the session here, so I might need to go ahead and just end the session early. I thought I was going to be able to get through defeating the Stag Lord here, but a couple conversations here, a few traveling bits there, and I think that I spent a long time in conversations, so I think that we can leave defeating the actual Stag Lord to next time, since there's been quite a bit of length in the recording here. I've been trying to cut down on the episode times as far as how long I take for each individual episode, so I appreciate everyone's patience, and I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode and for joining me again for this Let's Play in this truly wonderful RPG. Both a dialogue heavy and some combat in this episode, so let me know what you thought, if you had any thoughts on it and maybe on the characters involved, and hopefully you all join me for the conclusion of this story arc. Next time we're going to go ahead and finally battle the Stag Lord, who's ready and waiting for us on his little perch. So appreciate everyone joining me today, and hope you all have a wonderful day yourselves, and as always, take care.